I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little girl, them. And I'm gonna tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I paying so much for cell phone service? I'm sure you have. I know I have. And I have a solution for you in the form of Mint Mobile. Use the description in the video here. Check out Mint Mobile's plans. You can get unlimited service for as low as $15 a month. That is not a gimmick. Trust me. Stay in. Good evening, good people. It is I, the Maze Madman. This is another episode of the Maze Blue and Gold Show. Just waiting on Ryan, who, although he is not a colored person, arrives on CP time regularly. And here he is. What's going on, sir?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing excellent. Today we got a dope show lined up for you guys. We're going to talk about some Michigan recruiting. We're going to talk about some Notre Dame recruiting. Michigan gaining some traction on the recruiting trail, and Riley Leonard participating in spring practice. Let's start it off with why I'm upset today, and that is that professional third baseman Ryan Day. Let me show you something, Ryan. I'm not sure if you knew about this, but let me pull this up for you. Ryan Day strikes again with his little comments, and quite frankly, I'm upset about it. As soon as I can
pull it up,
properly share the screen, right?
Unprepared as usual, Phil. No, I'm joking.
All the way. All right, here we go. Ryan Day, of course, Ohio State hired the running backs coach Carlos Lachlan from Oregon, right? And Ryan Day said this about the hire. He said, quote, "I love that about him," speaking about something else that is not on the page here. He said, "Like some of us in this profession, he came up not in a football family, but grew up and kind of had to figure it out on their own. He's one of those people." That is a direct shot at former Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, who, of course, his father coached under legendary coach Bo Schembechler. His father was also a head coach on the college level. His family has been in and around coaching. His brother famously beat him in a Super Bowl at the NFL level. So it was a shot. I didn't appreciate it. But you know what? When you're a third baseman and you've lost to Michigan 3 years in a row, these are the kind of victories you have to take. What do you think about it, Ryan?
Well, are you really surprised coming from the same guy that was worried about the whereabouts of a 90-plus-year-old man who has dementia, who can't defend himself?
That's a great point.
I mean, I'm not surprised at anything Ryan Day says now.
He is a slimy. I'm not a Ryan Day fan.
Notice how he says this stuff though, in interviews and stuff.
Right.
When those people are no longer there, he won't.
Nowhere
he would never
to
say
be
this.
Seen. Right.
He would not have said this if Jim Harbaugh was still at Michigan.
Absolutely not. Not only would he not have said it if Jim Harbaugh was at Michigan, but even now he chose a time during the offseason. It's April, for God's sake, right? He won't have to answer to this, at least to Michigan, until November, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about timing. We get it. He's scared, as he should be. But
wasn't Ryan Day like most of Ohio State's fan base? I saw a meme on Twitter the other day where it's like Ohio State fans every year just wait till November about Michigan, and then November comes. Well, we'll get them next November. So, yeah.
Keep pushing it back. And now I don't know if you know this, Ryan. It's been over 1,500 days since an Ohio State football team has beaten a Michigan football team. That's like we're going on 5 years since that's happened.
That's disgusting.
It's
you
very,
let
very
Michigan
gross.
punk you like that? That's crazy.
It's very gross. Anyway, let's get back to some happier news. All right. Notre Dame quarterback, at least presumed starting quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Riley Leonard is back on the practice field. Ryan, that's got to be great news for you, to see Riley back out there getting after it after, a horrific injury that occurred, I think, against Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the
play of the
irony in
game.
that.
Yeah,
right?
final play of the game when we were playing Duke. But this is his second surgery since being in South Bend. I thought it was kind of funny because, like, I know the guys in the group chat and a lot of people in the college football world were like, see, this is why Riley Leonard's not going to work out at Notre Dame. He's not going to be able to stay healthy. You can't trust on him for a full year. Season's over, blah, 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 all that stuff. And I was like, calm down. Like, it's spring. I'd rather him get this stuff done now than worry about it during the season. Plus the surgery he just had. I can't, though, it's the tightrope surgery, which I was reading some stuff about that. I guess once you have that surgery, the nice thing about it, unlike other surgeries for injuries in football, is this one actually, they say, your knee or your ankle end up becoming stronger than they ever were before the surgery, before the injury.
That's pretty good.
So I'm not too worried about his injury. I do think that it does hurt him a little bit not being able to participate, in spring ball, get, some chemistry going. I don't know if they'll have him play in the spring game. That's still a couple weeks away, but I think I'd rather have this deal with this stuff now than deal with it in fall camp. So.
Absolutely. Speaking of Mr. Leonard, you've had some strong opinions about where you think he should rank, and whether or not he's the piece that can get Notre Dame over the hump in terms of a playoff berth and moving forward in the playoff. What we do know is there will be 12 teams in it this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that the odds have gotten better, have increased for Notre Dame and other teams, not just Notre Dame. Do you? And by the way, speaking of Notre Dame in this season, they should make the playoff. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That schedule is disgustingly and embarrassingly easy. But I'm not even one to like harp on the schedule because over the last few years, Michigan has benefited from a pretty easy non-con. But what's your thoughts on Riley Leonard and if he can help you guys reach your ultimate goal?
The nice thing about Riley Leonard is that I think he's better than Sam Hartman.
Okay.
I think Hartman was a better pure passer than Riley. Riley has issues where he's got the arm, but accuracy is his struggle. But I think the difference between him and Sam is Sam struggled. If you were to get pressure on Sam, he folded like a chair.
Right.
Riley has the ability to escape. We've seen it against Clemson, who Clemson had a down year last year, but their defensive line is all going to get drafted this year very highly. So I think that I think he's better than Sam. So I think he's going to get us over that hump. The schedule is also a lot easier. Our hardest games are A&M, Louisville, and Florida State. Which I'm not. Two of those teams I'm not too worried about. I think Florida State is the toughest team on that schedule, but we get them at home in November. And as you know, being a Michigan fan, when those southern schools come to the Midwest in the freezing cold, they don't tend to show up.
Right.
So I'm not too scared about Florida State, but yeah, I think they get to the playoff this year. I think he can get us a couple wins in the playoff. But the nice thing about this year is that I'm confident in our backups, in our quarterback room, more confident than I've ever been.
Right.
The last time you could say that is probably never, maybe. But I mean, we've got Stephen Jelly, who has starting experience. He's only played in limited snaps, but in the limited time he's played, he's got a 7-to-1 turnover or touchdown to interception ratio, which is pretty damn good. And then you got CJ Carr and Kenny Minchie behind him. I think CJ Carr is the best in the room.
Okay.
But gonna give him some time. But yeah, if Riley Leonard goes down, knock on wood, hope it doesn't happen. I'm confident in our QB room that it's good enough. I mean, I don't know how you would feel, Phil, but I think it's safe to say Stephen Jelly or whoever we have in that room is better than Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner.
Absolutely. Shout out to my guy Twan who's in here. Twan, we'll get to your other comment in just a second. I want to shout out the Lily Brook. Thank you. I look forward to it. So I'll get with you after the show for sure, but definitely look forward to collaborating. Of course, Twan said you guys better win this season or we're gonna be laughing. That's a fact. He says sometimes the easy chip shot is not so damn easy. This is a fact. And as a Michigan fan, we have history with this as Appalachian State. I hate to grudge up these old demons, but we know what happened when they came to the big house circa 2007, whatever year that was. I've erased it from my memory, really. But you know how it goes.
We won't mention Marshall and Stanford.
There you go. Right. Things happen sometimes. That's like the best way I can explain it is things happen. Twan also said, I don't understand why anybody would want to play a hard schedule. It's just stupid, especially playing in the Big Ten now with all the extra big dogs.
See, Antoine makes a good point on why Notre Dame should not join a conference because we'll have easy schedules every year.
That's not what he's saying. But he's honestly saying that the conference schedule, the conference portion of the schedule is not going to be easy. So why would we schedule hard non-con games is more what he's saying.
Yeah, we got USC fans already wanting to stop playing us because they think it's not worth it.
You inspire me. Please follow me back. Jojo, I will do that. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said USC fans already talking they don't want to play us anymore because it's not worth it for them.
My Discord name. What is my Discord name, bro? I'm pretty sure it's just how to do. 1 second while I find my Discord name for Lily Brook here. But yeah, so we'll move on from Riley Leonard for a hot second.
Well, let me ask you this, Phil, real quick before we move on. From an outsider's perspective, do you think Riley's injuries are anything to be worried about going forward?
So I think so because he's a mobile quarterback, right? He extends plays. He can be a threat with his feet anytime you are outside of the pocket, anytime you're, just moving anywhere. The likelihood of injury goes up, significantly more. But I don't think he's injury prone. I'm not ready to say that, right? I just think he's more likely than someone else to get injured.
Plus the way he runs, he doesn't run like Lamar Jackson or guys that are kind of like, those more finesse runners.
Right.
And he's a guy that when he sees people, he wants to run you over. As a quarterback, we don't need that.
Yeah, so Antoine brings up these names I can't really pronounce. They're Samoan, Hawaiian, Pacific names, Pacific Islanders, SJ. I'm not even gonna Susu, Olafatuali, and Doug Utu, both of whom are offensive linemen for Bishop Gorman. I think both of whom visited Michigan. I know Utu was on campus last week. And I too am huge fans of both. I want Michigan to land both of those guys. But if I had to pick one, U2 would be the guy. I'm a huge fan of both though. We got Dallas fan in here. He says Riley Leonard wasn't injured running the ball. He was in the pocket. That's a fact. And by the way, I'm not saying, that he can't get injured in the pocket too. Obviously, quarterbacks get injured in the pocket all the time. I just think, like I said, he's more susceptible. Anytime you break the pocket and get out there and become a running back, things happen.
Yeah.
Sent you a friend request on Discord. Kindly accept. I sure will. Yeah, so moving on, switching gears just a little bit into the recruiting portion of the show. Ryan, you guys just got some good news about a 2026 quarterback, I believe.
Yep, Brady Hart. We got 2 top 10 quarterbacks in the 2026 class that Notre Dame currently leads for.
Right.
Both kids have, stated that in interviews. One of them was Noah Grubbs, who is, I believe, the number 7th ranked quarterback in the 2026 class.
Okay.
Out of Cocoa, or not out of Cocoa Beach. He's out of Florida. He's a guy that, he visited a couple weeks ago. He said he loved the visit. But Notre Dame basically told him that, hey, we're mainly going after you.
Mm-hmm.
Brady Hart, who is from Cocoa, Florida, who is the number 9 ranked quarterback in the class. And we're going after Brady Smeagol. First come, first serve.
Right.
Between you 3. Smeagol has already took his visit. He'll be back, I think, in a couple months for his official visit.
Right.
So it's kind of like Notre Dame's telling these kids, hey, we don't have a preference.
Smeagol's going to Michigan, by the way.
Nah. It's first come, first serve. So the feeling right now is Brady Hart is going to be the one that, pops in our favor.
Right.
The worry with him, though, is he is a Florida legacy. Both his mom and dad attended Florida. And he just got offered by the Gators. So that seems like something that can maybe trip that up. But he's on campus right now. Multiple predictions have went in for him to land at Notre Dame. But,
right.
You never know. Noah Grubbs, like I said, he came off his visit. He said he loved Notre Dame. And that the fact that Hart was visiting this week, and, he's seen other 2026 quarterbacks that he's friends with come off the board already in Lewis and Jared Curtis, is already starting to make him, rethink his commitment timeline, and he might push that up. So who knows? I mean, if I had a preference, I'd say I'd probably go with Noah Grubbs. I think he's a little better, but then my co-host over at the Gold Standard, he likes Brady Hart. So, but I think you got 2 kids that are top 10 quarterbacks. And I don't think there's a huge difference between the 2. So yeah. I don't think it's a win-win if you get one of them.
Understood. Yeah, Brady Hart. I think a lot of the motion is going towards Notre Dame for him. Dallas fan just says the same. I have quarterback Brady Hart committed by the blue and gold game. That's quick. When is the blue and gold game, by the way?
I think April 26th.
April 26th.
I have to look that up. But yeah, I mean, also I know that Brady Hart and Noah Grubbs took visits to Michigan, so I know Michigan's involved there as well.
Right.
I think Michigan's more involved with Noah Grubbs though, because I know he took his visits to Notre Dame, and then the very next day he was in Ann Arbor, and the day after that was at Ohio State in Columbus. So who knows? But yeah, I think we're in a good spot. But I would think that Brady Hart or Noah Grubbs would pop in the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. Before I get to Michigan recruiting and some more Notre Dame recruiting, there is something Ryan, that it pops up here. You're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. This is good stuff. If I can, I'm gonna work this thing more efficiently soon. All right, here we go. This is a PFS top returning player at each position. Ryan, you took some umbrage with this. Let's go through it really quick first. At quarterback, they got the top returning quarterback as Carson Beck.
I don't like that.
I'm not sure. I'm not with that either. Carson Beck as the top returning quarterback. Top returning running back, Ollie Gordon the second. I'm okay with this one. Yeah. I'm okay with this. Wide receiver, Luther Bird in the third. Now, I like Luther Bird in the third,
I
But
just
is he
don't know
the
who else
best
there
returning
is. Like
receiver? I mean, there's
Travis
there's
Hunter is
Branch
there.
at USC.
Yeah,
There's
Travis
Travis
Hunter.
Hunter. There's Igbuka,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. I'm not sure if I agree with this one, but Luther Burton is not a bad choice. Let me say that. He's not bad. What about Evan Stewart? I mean, there's some guys. Tight end, Colston Loveland of Michigan. What do you think about this one?
Completely disagree. I think Mitchell Evans is the best tight end in the country.
Yo, bro,
The
you
only
gotta
reason
chill.
the
Come
only
on,
reason
man.
he doesn't get that respect is because he got injured halfway through the season and missed the
So
entirety
let
of the
me
season.
ask you a real question then. How the
Yeah.
heck is PFF supposed to? How is they grade these things based off of performances
Well, they
in
did
games
a
a
list
season
like
ago?
yesterday that said the highest graded tight ends
Right.
from last season, and they had Brock Bowers and two other tight ends that are going to the draft this year. Mitchell Evans was 4, and Loveland was 5. But then when they put this list together, they
Because
put
Mitchell
Loveland.
Evans hasn't played football. I digress, though.
But when he played, he looked like the best tight end in college football.
He did not. But anyway, I digress. We'll get to the comments here in a second. Offensive line, LSU's Will Campbell. You okay with this?
I really don't know too much about the offensive
I
line
think
prospects.
this one's correct.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go on the record.
Yeah.
I don't think he like allowed a sack or something. In a like his entire time, maybe it's pretty crazy. He's pretty good. Edge rusher James Pierce Jr. Where are you with this?
Again, I don't really know too much about the edge
Okay.
rusher this year, so I don't. How do you feel about it?
I'm going to allow this one too. I'm going to give this one a pass just because going into the season, I can see why they would pick James Pierce Jr. We'll see how it plays out this season. Obviously, I'm not mad at this one. Mason Graham, the best defensive tackle in college football. And this one, I really don't see how you can argue, but go Ryan.
Howard Cross is the best defensive tackle in college football. I think it's close. I think it's 1A, 1B. Kind of like what we had with the cornerback position we'll get into shortly. But any list you look at, it's the 1 and 2 spot is always interchangeable with Howard Cross and Mason Graham.
Now, there is an argument for Deion Walker in Kentucky, too. Because he was number 2 on a couple lists.
He's not returning.
Oh, he's not.
Is he? No, he's going. I think he's.
No,
going
he
to
is.
the draft.
He is. He's only a junior. He's going to be a junior this year.
Okay.
Yeah. He's same class as Mason Graham, and he also should have been a Wolverine, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. It's another would-be Wolverine that Kentucky stole. I'm sick of it. But right from Detroit, by the way, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I'll admit, it's part of it's my bias, but watching Howard Cross play, it's like there's no offensive lineman in college football that's going to hold up to Howard Cross. The dude
here's the difference for me. Like Mason Graham showed up in the biggest games. He dominated that Ohio State line. He dominated against Alabama. He was dominant against Alabama. And so Mason Graham to me is just, it's not even a question for this one.
I also think Michigan's defense was also, I don't think your back end was better, but I think your front four was definitely a lot better than Notre Dame's as a whole. So I think that's where like Howard Cross was that dude. Like he was the guy that when we played Ohio State, they had to double. When we played Clemson, they had to double. And even at that point, he was still, and that's why, like, if you look at his pro comp on PFF, a lot of like his comparison is a smaller version of Aaron Donald. Like that's how he plays. And that's where I kind of like, and like I said, it is my bias because I am a Notre Dame fan.
Right.
I wouldn't be mad at Mason Graham being 1 and you have Howard Cross at 2. But in my opinion, I think Howard Cross is the better of the 2.
Got you. All right. Here's where it's going to get real interesting. Starting with linebacker
Harold Perkins.
Harold Perkins of LSU. Ryan, do you agree or disagree?
The LSU defense is so bad.
Right.
Like, I
If
feel
you're
like
telling me he was the bright spot on that terrible defense, I mean, okay, but they were bad. By the way, it's 12 people in here. We need 12 likes. If you haven't liked the video already, go ahead, like, share it on social media with your friends. Let's get some people in here. But let's go. Ryan, I'm sorry.
Like, I feel like he's only on this list because of his name and the fact that he's going to be probably a first-round pick. I don't know if he's the best linebacker in the country.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if he's the best linebacker in the country either. In fact, call me a homer. But I think we got between Barham and Hausman, they're going to show that they're the best. I think we got the best linebacker duo in the country. I'm going to go ahead and say that, but we'll see what happens. Here we go. Will Johnson, the best returning corner in college football. Ryan, your take.
Ben Morrison is the best corner in college football. And to me, it's not close. I sent it in the group chat. Name another college football cornerback that has went up against the likes of Marvin Harrison Jr. twice, Puka Nacua, and a bunch the list goes on. I can't remember the list off the top.
Right.
But guys that are in the NFL, one of them just damn near won Rookie of the Year for the Rams.
Right.
Held them to an average of 30 yards per game. What corner out here doing that? Because if I remember correctly, Will Johnson gave up a lot of yards and a touchdown to Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's where you're wrong. Will Johnson did not give up a touchdown to Marvin Harrison. In fact, Will Johnson has not given up a touchdown ever. I'm sorry, his freshman year, I think he gave up one touchdown.
Well, it is also kind of skewed because wasn't he injured a majority of last year?
He came back like week 4 or 5 or 6, something like that. And even in that Ohio State game, Will Johnson was not 100% and still got a pick and won in man-to-man coverage against Marvin Harrison. Here's the other part of this. Will Johnson followed Marvin Harrison everywhere on the field. Marvin Harrison lined up in the slot. Will Johnson was on him. Marvin Harrison lined up in the Y. Will Johnson was on him. If he was the X, Will Johnson rather was on Marvin Harrison. The difference with you and Notre Dame and Ben Johnson is Ben Johnson stayed on one side of the field. And if Marvin Harrison happened to come over there, then Ben Morrison was there. By the way, Ben Morrison gave up a 2 plays. In fact, Dallas fan shared these plays with me. He shared these plays, making a case for Ben Johnson by Ben Morrison. I'm sorry. Yeah. By the way, Ben Johnson is the Hall of Fame. Well, I don't even know if he's a Hall of Fame track star because he clearly cheated and was caught immediately. But anyway, Ben Morrison was stacked up on 2 plays when he was actually in one-on-one coverage with Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison stacked him up 2 times. One time, a great acrobatic catch by Marvin Harrison.
It was out of bounds.
Second time,
it was incomplete.
That's fair. Incomplete. That's fair. Although that looked good, but I digress on that. And the second time, it was grossly underthrown by the Honda McCourt.
Are we talking about the one on the goal line where?
No.
Or which one? Because there was a. Okay.
It was a deep ball.
I remember the stats because I had kept track of it on the snap count. Morrison had 16. So only 16 snaps that were considered one-on-one on an island coverage with Marvin Harrison Jr. What that means, no safety over the top,
right?
No help. This is one-on-one.
Right.
those 16 snaps, he gave up 2 catches for 16 yards.
Okay. By the way, all 16 of those snaps weren't pass plays either.
No,
so,
this is just one-on-one coverage, like he's by himself.
All right. So in every time, okay. So that's the point. The point is, I'm not saying Ben Morrison is obviously a good cornerback. Ben Morrison is obviously one of the best cornerbacks in college football. However, there is a difference in what Ben Morrison does and what Will Johnson does. Will Johnson is the quintessential shutdown cornerback. He will follow your best guy all over the field, and nobody outside of Marvin Harrison got the best of Will Johnson a season ago.
My only
and by the way,
to that,
an argument can be made that Will Johnson got an interception, returned it inside the 5-yard line. Michigan scored on that drive. So I can't even say that that's even, it was pretty even.
Let me ask you this, Phil, and then I want to get to my counterpoint real quick. Who is Michigan's cornerback 2 last year behind Will Johnson?
That was Josh Wallace.
Okay. My counterpoint to that would be Morrison has the ability to be a lockdown corner where he could follow the team's best receiver. He did that against everybody but Ohio State. He did it against USC and Zachariah Branch. He did it against USC last year. And he did it against Ohio State last year against Jackson Smith and Njigba before he got hurt. But our cornerback 2 was Cam Hart, who was an All-American. His draft stock is rising. Looks like he's going to be early second-round pick. Now, I think the argument in that case would be, well, Notre Dame didn't need Ben Morrison to do that because we trusted Cam Hart, who also had, I think it was like 13 or 14 one-on-one snaps with Marvin Harrison Jr. himself. So I think it's a little different because I think Michigan's defense, not saying Josh Wallace wasn't good, but I think that if we're talking of cornerback to cornerback, there was a drop-off from Will Johnson to Josh Wallace that there wasn't that much of a drop-off from Ben Morrison to Cam Hart, you could argue. So Michigan needed Will Johnson to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it. That said, though, Will Johnson did the thing. Let me, before we get to the last one, which I'm pretty sure we're both going to disagree with.
Yes.
All right. Before we get to that one, let's go through some of the, actually, let's get through this last one, then we'll get to the comments.
All right.
The last one, it says the best returning safety in all of college football is Caleb Downs, former Alabama safety. He was a freshman last year, a true freshman. He has now transferred to the other state. What do you think about Caleb Downs as the best safety in America?
I think he has the possibility to be the best safety in America at some point in his career, but not right now.
Okay.
I think personally, this is my homework. I think Xavier Watts is the best safety in the country. Led the nation in interceptions last year. Won the award that literally goes to the best defensive player in the country last year in the Bronco Nagurski Award. So I think that says enough of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think Caleb Downs has all the potential in the world. I'm not saying he's not, an insane talent, because I think he is. But come on, man. Like, at this point, we're just glazing Ohio State on this list so they can have like a pity pick. Did you watch that clip from Ohio State spring ball where Caleb Downs got absolutely mossed by Jeremiah Smith? Like,
well, that was it was actually Denzel Burke that got mossed. Caleb Downs came over. Yeah.
But yeah, if that was Xavier Watts, that would have been picked. But nevertheless, I don't think Caleb Downs is the best safety in college football.
So we are in agreement. Caleb Downs, not the best safety in America. In fact, if Rod Moore hadn't been injured, I think it would have been Rod Moore. Although I'm not sure when this list came out, and if it was done before Moore's injury, then shame on them. But yeah, so we agree pretty much. Except for all the M's on the list, Ryan thinks should be Notre Dame players, by the way, which is ridiculous.
There should be
It's a
4 Notre
ridiculous-
Dames on this list.
It's a ridiculous statement.
I will say, though, Malachi Starks has an argument, too. The safety for Georgia. I think he's insanely talented as well. But I don't know, for whatever reason, he does not get enough love. But,
yeah, no doubt. So that's that. Moving on, Michigan. By the way, if you're in here, be sure to like the live, share it with your friends on social media, and be sure to subscribe to the Week 0 channel if you haven't already. This is exclusively airing on Week 0, so subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 tonight. All right. Anyway, the Michigan momentum on the recruiting trail. Iverson Howard, running back out of Maryland, 4-star on 300 guy, is favored to land at Michigan. He has already set up his official visit to Michigan, June 7th through the 9th. Michigan also has momentum with Taz Williams Jr., wide receiver out of Texas. Quincy Porter, wide receiver out of New Jersey. All these guys I'm naming are, by the way, favored to go to Michigan. And Dwayne Galloway, 4-star, probably soon to be 5-star cornerback out of Columbus, of all places, Ohio. Michigan's recruiting momentum is real, and it's finally starting to bear some fruit. Obviously, there were some coaching changes. There was the fear of the hammer, as everybody keeps talking about. There's, a defensive line coach was hired, then fired, in essence, had to just rehired another defensive line coach. So it's a lot of shuffling going on with Michigan's coaching staff that has hampered the recruiting efforts. And of course, Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL didn't help any either. So it's been slow motion for Michigan on the recruiting trail until now, finally starting to gain some momentum. Where do you expect Notre Dame's class to end up? I think they're like 1 or 2 right now, right?
So they're number 1 on 247, but I'm not one of those people that's like gonna beat my chest about it, because I realize that how that works is it's averages. And the only reason Notre Dame has the number 1 class is because of the amount of commitments they have, which is 19, believe it or not, which is the most commitments of any class in 2025 by, I think it's like 8. We have 8 more commitments than the second highest class. On 3 has it more realistic, like right now where it would rank based on averages. Notre Dame's 5. Okay. So I think this class could easily end up top 5. I'm really excited about this class. Deuce Knight, I think, will end up being a 5-star. Our quarterback commit. And then we've got a bunch of other guys that we're trying to get right now that we can focus on. Damian Shanklin's a guy that I know
Damian Shanklin is a guy that we are focused on as well.
Mark Zachary, who was a top 50 recruit, top 10 corner in the class.
Right?
Yep. He's
also visiting Michigan.
Hey, his top 4 was Notre Dame, Michigan, Florida, and Cincinnati. So we know who's going to win out of that
one. Guess where he's going.
He's going to Notre Dame. That's where he's going.
There's no way.
And then John Blair, who was another top 60 recruit, top 5 safety in the class. He's actually on a visit right now. 4-day unofficial visit in South Bend. So that's huge.
Anybody that spends 4 days in South Bend, he's probably gonna go there.
He likes South Bend, man.
There's no reason to be 4 days in Indiana. In the entire state of Indiana, there's no reason to be there 4 days. But
yeah, and then we just recently got a commit for Anthony Sacca, which he's a top 150 recruit. I really like him. Funny enough, he's a linebacker. He's a Penn State legacy. Funny enough, his dad was Tony Sacca, who was the quarterback at Penn State. Mm-hmm. It was so odd as Penn State didn't even make his top 5.
That's disgusting.
And then Jadon Blair, another guy I just talk about. It's between Notre Dame and Penn State for him. And it's like, man, Notre Dame tends to beat Penn State.
The shillelagh.
Notre Dame, it's weird. Notre Dame tends to beat Penn State for a lot of recruits.
Well, I mean, look, if you had the choice, listen, by the way, I made fun of Dan Lanning for being diet James Franklin. Right?
Yeah.
But, and I hate to do this to you, Marcus Freeman, who is from my hometown of Dayton, Ohio, Marcus Freeman hasn't won a big game.
What do you mean?
What's a big game?
He's got 2 wins versus top 10 opponents.
Who did he beat? Who are these top 10? He beat USC?
Number 5, Clemson in 2022. And number 10, USC last year.
Now, let me ask another question. Where did Clemson end up?
They ended up winning the ACC championship with 1 loss.
Okay.
They blew out North Carolina that year.
All right. I'll give you the Clemson win.
Yeah.
Where did USC end up?
8-5 with a win over Louisville.
Right. So I mean, okay, he beat Clemson. Okay. I'm gonna concede that win.
If we're gonna be, hey, he's been close to beating Ohio State twice.
I don't know what that means. I don't even know what that means. I don't know where to look that up in the record book.
Hey, you know what, Phil?
It's got wins, losses, ties.
For us Notre Dame fans, we're used to getting drugged by teams like Ohio State. For us to even have a shot to win,
well, you could have just asked me. I would have told you they are not who you think they are. They are not who you think they are. So anyway, Marcus Freeman may have like one big win. I mean, I'm sure James Franklin has like.
Well, how many big wins did BK have at Notre Dame?
He didn't beat any top 10 teams.
He has 1 win in his 12-year stay at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman has 2 in 2 years. So there's improvement. That's improvement.
Sure. Whatever, man. Look, I will say this: Notre Dame has a great opportunity this season to go to the playoff.
It would be fitting for Michigan to win theirs. We get our natty.
No,
that would be fitting. No. That would be very fitting. Yes.
No, what's fitting is for Michigan to repeat as national champion. Now, if we beat Notre Dame on the way to that national champion, that would be fitting.
It would no. What would be fitting is we beat you with CJ Carr starting at that point in this college football.
I won't watch college football ever again if that happens. If Notre Dame beats Michigan in the national championship with CJ Carr as the quarterback, I'm done. No, and I'm not saying that because CJ Carr is a trash can. I'm saying that because CJ Carr's granddaddy is Lloyd Carr, and he went to Notre Dame. It's ridiculous.
You would probably delete the channel at that point. You would be like,
"Oh yeah, channels got delete." Especially if they did it beating Michigan in the process, delete. My whole existence is a lie. But anyway, it's been a fun show. We've been on now 45. We got almost 45 minutes. Ryan, tell the people where they can find you and your content, what you got going on.
Yes, so you can drop a follow on Twitter or X at @Fravel_Ryan on Twitter. You guys can all catch the heat, you Michigan fans on Twitter. I'm joking. I love you guys. But yeah, we just dropped our EA Sports College Football 25.
Looks good too.
Looks good. So go
check that out on the channel while you're here on the channel. Check that out.
And as always, like sub to Week 0 Productions. Yeah.
Yep. You know where you can find me at Maze Madman everywhere. Twitter, Instagram.
Did we read the comments? I don't think we read the comments.
We did not get into those comments. You know what? We'll do that. We'll get into those comments really quick. We'll go back and see what everybody said about the quarterbacks or the positions. All right, here we go. Actually, Brady Hart might come in Sunday. Okay, that's not that. Mason Graham isn't better than Notre Dame defensive tackle Howard Cross. Absolutely not. I expect nothing else from a guy who has on the Notre Dame hat, the Notre Dame shirt, and sunglasses as his picture. There's nothing else.
See, we need to, you know, we need to get Garrison on here or somebody that's neutral, and we need to do like a court setting where Phil presents his case, I present mine, we have a neutral party say, all right, Ben Morrison is better than Will Johnson. Right. All right, Mason Graham is better than Howard Cross. We need to have somebody that would be such a cool show idea.
I think Antoine's a great candidate for that.
Oh yeah. He'd definitely be neutral.
Antoine, right down the middle. Tell it how it is. Mitchell Evans, he sounds like he needs to be selling sausages. Oh man, pause. Will Johnson has nothing but the national championship over Ben Morrison. Well, that's first of all just inaccurate. He has height, speed.
How tall is Will Johnson?
Will Johnson's 6'3".
Oh, Ben Morrison's only like 6'1".
Corner. Yeah. And he has an interception over Marvin Harrison in one-on-one coverage. So not only did he prevent him from catching that ball, he took it.
Okay, that was also a duck of a throw by Kyle McClure.
Oh, no. Don't blame it on the throw. Also, his team took the W against the other state. Something you can't say. You had two prime chances, one on your field, one on their field.
You know what the difference is,
both
still,
times
Phil?
You walk
your DBs caught the game-sealing interception. Ours dropped it.
That's fair.
Ours dropped it.
That's fair. That's the difference between Notre Dame and Michigan, by the way. We come through. Pause. Safety Caleb Downs, not the best in college football. He was a rookie. Yes, he was a freshman. That being said, I wouldn't say somebody can't be the best because they're a freshman. If you're the best, you're the best.
I think he's top 5 for sure.
Yeah, he's good. Howard Cross and Riley Mills are the best in college football.
I can't go that far. I think Riley Mills is really good, but I don't know about.
Michigan might have another tight end, Klein, who they say is bigger and faster, stronger than Loveland. That's why I'm not worried about big wide receivers. Michigan tight ends will fill the void.
We know who tight end you is.
I'm not even going to take this bait. Better me than the drunk Notre Dame fan. Absolutely. Excuse me. Anyway, that is our time. Until next time, stay angry, my friends. Like Ryan said, be sure to sub the channel.